Okay, everybody, we're ready to begin, I think. Today we have, instead of Michelle Matson today, I think in print it said Michelle Matson, but she had to go out of town, and so we have Christy Nicholson, or Chastity Nicholson instead, and she has worked with children all over the country, and she's now the Community Mentor Director at LSS. And so we're very happy to have Chastity with us, and we'll let her go ahead.
Thank you so much. We're on. I was really excited because I got to get this fancy microphone. I didn't know I was going to have the microphone today, but thank you so much. Again, my name is Chastity Nicholson. My husband and I moved here. I moved here about 7 months ago. He moved a little bit before me, and so I'm pretty new to Sioux Falls, but not new to mentoring and not new to nonprofit work. I've been in nonprofits for about 10 years, and like you mentioned, I got to serve in quite a few different communities, and so mentoring is really near and dear to my heart, just because I know the need that there is all over the country to have extra adult support, people who truly care, people who can really add to our kids' lives, just because they have so many different challenges going on. So I actually won't be before you for too long today, but I did want to just kind of go over a little bit of what we do and why we do it. And so some of you may have heard of the Sioux 52 initiative for mentoring. And so we'll kind of talk a little bit more about what Sioux 52 is. And so that initiative did start by the city of Sioux Falls. It was the Downtown Rotary and Helpline Center. The goal is to have about 5,200 new mentors by 2026. Large goal, but I know that we can do it. Reaching that goal through our civic business, faith in our general community will be huge, because we know that people within our community will be the ones to be able to add that extra special touch for our kids, to be able to say, hey, I grew up in the same city. Hey, I'm here with you. Hey, you have people around you that love and care about you. And so we do want to be the city of mentors. We do want to say that Sioux Falls is a community that is serving within their within that same space and building up the kids of our future. So what does that mean for us? Well, mentoring, of course, it does guarantee that young person, like I said, someone in their community who cares for them. But additionally, those relationships, intergenerational relationships between the adults and the youth, have become pretty rare. And so our kids are finding that there's a gap there. And so mentoring allows us to kind of bridge that gap and allow students to be able to have more of a connection to other generations. And so we know that many of our families, they've been separated geographically, they've been separated emotionally with adults in their lives. So what we want is for our children to be able to succeed, and again, just to know that there's a healthy adult out there that cares for them. So there's lots of different ways that mentors can provide support. And so a lot of that, of course, is through example, simply through example. I know a lot of people think that mentoring can be daunting if they don't know what to do, or they're not sure where to go with their kid or how they're going to relate, but you can simply lead by example. You can show them who you are. It helps them build and develop self-esteem, of course, goal setting. What skills do you have? Because maybe that's something that they have never thought about before, that they could think, oh, maybe that's something I could get into. For example, I had a recent match through Community, and she was a second grader. She came in with her mom. I kind of asked her, what do you like? What do you enjoy? And she said, well, I really want to learn to crochet. And so her mom goes, well, maybe you need to be matched with someone older, because, but that was something she was really, really passionate about, a second grader. Her mom didn't know how to crochet, but she really, really wanted to learn to crochet. And so we were able to actually match her with a mentor who was very much so into crafts and actually had the skill set of crocheting. And so that was the very first thing she wanted to do when they got together for their first meeting, and that's what they did. Along with that, problem solving, giving advice. Of course, it's not simply telling them what they have to do, what they should do, but again, that leading by example allows you to support your student in best practice. So this is an example from a mentee in our client program, also called Community. And they asked them what their mentor helps helps them with, and they said, I'm happy that you came in my life, simply. I'm happy that you came in my life. Maybe they didn't have all the extra words, maybe they didn't know what else to say, but for them, it was, hey, you're there, you're showing up, you're being consistent, that means something to me. Another kiddo said, Lynn is fun to spend time with, so shout out to Lynn, the mentor, and a person I can talk to about things that's happened in my life. Whenever I see her, she always brightens my day. Simple and beautiful. So, again, more ways that mentors can help. There are kids in our programs from lots of different backgrounds. They could be from higher socioeconomic status, or they could be from lower socioeconomic status. They could have a single parent household. They could have both parents in the household, but there's just different challenges that lie within. Maybe, we just went through a pandemic. Maybe dad lost his job, and so now all of a sudden things have changed rapidly in the home. Or maybe there was a death in the family, or maybe the student is being bullied at school. Again, just having someone there that they can, that is consistent in their life, that they can talk to, who maybe isn't just mom or dad or cousin or sibling, but someone else that they know, this is my person and will be there for me. So we want to bring joy and excitement. It does bring joy and excitement. It's an opportunity and hope that a child's life when they need it. In reflecting how helpful having a mentor was to keep me on the right path, inspires me to help keep other struggling children on the right path. So that's something else that a mentor said. So again, when we talk about why is it important, well, we look at some of the statistics. We do talk about evidence-based practices. We do use evidence-based research to figure out how we can best support our kiddos. And so when we look at students who have mentors versus students who don't, we see that 52% of students are less likely to skip school if they have a mentor. 46% are less likely to begin using illegal drugs, 27% drinking alcohol, and then so on and so forth, 37% less likely to lie to a parent. So we do, in the mentoring program through Lutheran Social Services, we do have several different programs. We have our in-school mentoring program, the community mentoring program, which I'm over. We have our Better Together program, and then we have our older Aging Adult Network, which is actually outside of Sioux Falls. That's based in the Armour area. But there are several ways to support. So in our in-school mentoring program, we're in about 12 different districts. All of them are within Lincoln, Minnehaha, and Mooney counties. But that one began back in 2000, so it's about 23 years old, which is crazy to say. And then we serve students from kindergarten to 8th grade within that program. And then mentors can actually select what age group that they work with if you decide to mentor in school. And the nice thing about that is that, again, it's going to be a weekly thing. You don't have to worry about where you're going to take them, what you're going to do. You can just show up. We have games at the school. We have activities you can do with the student. The unique thing about this program is that students, you don't know your students' parents, and the parents don't know who you are. You just know your student. You show up. They know who you are. The students do have to sign off, or the parents do have to sign off for the students to be a part of the program, and they're all asked if they want to have a mentor. So you don't have to worry about, am I being thrown into a kid that doesn't even want to do it? They want to do it. They're asked if they want to do it, and then their parents sign off on it. And then within this in-school program, they actually do take a break over the summer, and then they resume back in the following school year. So the community mentoring program, for this program, it actually started with Big Brothers Big Sisters before they decided to disaffiliate back in 2009. And so we're fairly new-ish in going out into the community, but we did adopt a lot of those practices, and it's been building ever since. We have about 115 matches within that program, and we serve students 7 to 14. And so within this program, you're going to meet about 4 hours per month, and so you meet outside of school. You do have the ability to still meet in school if you would like, but this one, you have a little bit more flexibility. You'll go pick up your student. You can take them to Thunder Road. You can take them to go swimming. You can take them to lots of different places, go hiking, canoeing. A lot of our kiddos like to go fishing with their mentor, but there's a plethora of things that you can do with your student. This one, you won't meet just on a single day of each week. It doesn't have to be once a week. It could be meeting twice a month, but maybe for a couple hours each time that you meet with that student. And so with this program, it's nice because we actually do monthly events. So for example, this week we're going to Galaxy Gaming, and so mentors can just come with their mentee. And so I actually set up those events, and then LSS will coordinate and pay for those events. So all you have to do is come, and that's an easy thing that you can do with your kid, and you don't have to think of where you're going with them or not. In the past, we've gone hiking at Great Bear. We did like a little kickball tournament last year as well. We'll do like a holiday party each year, but it's a great program. And this one particularly, though, we do need male mentors. We have about 12 boys waiting on the list. That's just kind of how it usually is, kind of factors out. We usually have a lot of ladies, which we want you to continue to mentor, but we really do need those kiddos to have that male influence as well within this program. And then finally, we also produce an activity cart where we work with local businesses and organizations within Sioux Falls who will give discounts for our matches to go out and do things. And so we'll give those to the mentors once they meet with their mentees, so that can help reduce the cost for the volunteer. And then we have our high school mentoring program. So within this program, students can actually meet at school or in the community as well. A lot of mentors within the high school program, they actually pick up their student during their lunchtime and then drop them back off. And it's kind of nice for the high schoolers because they kind of feel a little bit more adult in that they get to leave with their mentor during the day and then come back to school. We also, again, have the opportunity to meet over the weekends. And then we also, again, suggest about 4 hours a month with that mentee. Matches in this program, they do focus on goal setting, college and career readiness. I know one match, one of our mentors actually serves in our military, and so he was supporting his kiddo through that because his kiddo wanted to actually pursue that route as well. Actually did basic training this past summer, and so once they graduate, they actually have a career waiting for them serving our country, which is really cool. And then our high school mentor coordinator will connect mentors, families, and the school staff to problem solve and encourage kids to achieve their goals. And so within each of these programs, we do provide ongoing support. So we do monthly trainings for mentors. It's optional, but if you feel like you want to learn a little bit more, we'll have those for you. We also we check in each month as well with mentees and the matches as well, just to make sure things are going okay. And if there's anything that we need to support with or help kind of work out, we can do that as well. And then finally, we have our Better Together program. So if kids aren't your thing, if you're like, I don't know about the littles, I don't know about the high schools, middle school is kind of scary, then you can actually work with our Better program. So this is matched with a senior. You have to be at least 65 or older to be in this program, but you can be matched with a senior. So seniors that are living independently, not in assisted living or nursing homes, but they're matched again. They spend about 4 hours a month, just like our other programs. Seniors are often isolated from friends and family, and so this program is really important so that each age group that we work with has someone who can be supportive. A lot of our mentees, we call them neighbors in the Better Together program. A lot of them either are widowed or their kids are grown and moved on or moved out of the house or whatever, so they would like extra support. And it's nice to have that as well. We do need more women in this program. So most of our clients, like I said, are widowed females, and so they're just looking for a friendship, and so you get to be that friend to support, go out to dinner, go to Target, go do whatever it is that you enjoy. If you want to go salsa dancing, more power to you. But a lot of our mentees and matches really appreciate just this program. It's a little different than our others because it is just another friendship, just another person to be able to talk to, say hello, vent, and so on and so forth. So matches, again, in this program also receive training and then ongoing support. So if you do want to get started in our program, you can go to lsssd.org. I also have some handouts to you that go over all of our programs that I'll leave here as well if you'd like to pick one up on your way out. But we'll process your application. We'll do a background check. we do require new mentor training, so we'll go through a full training with you, and then the matching process happens after that. And then, like I said, all volunteers, I can't stress enough, will have that ongoing support, because I know that sometimes it's kind of the nerve-wracking part is like, what do I do? But we'll continue to support you through your time with mentoring. So does anyone have any questions? I know I kind of just threw it all at you.
Chastity, does your agency address mentors for immigrants?
So yeah, we do. Can you be more specific with that? Do you mean, do we just have immigrants in our programs, or do you mean?
Well, incoming immigrants that need some help, getting established in the city and everything, somebody that can help them.
Absolutely, I love that question. So mentoring doesn't necessarily specifically help set up, but we actually, LSS is such a large organization, we have our Center for New Americans that actually does all of that. So a lot of our refugees and immigrants that come into Sioux Falls, our Center for New Americans will help them set up with housing, help them with jobs. We'll give them actually about, I think they have about a 6-month goal to be able to get all of those things set up so that we can help support our refugees to become independent in our society and be able to do a lot of things on their own. So we do actually address that, but mentoring, we just support just the person as a whole, and then if they do need that extra support, we do have a whole separate office for that. Yes, thank you for that.
Any other questions?
What specifically does the Rotary do? How are they involved?
That's a great question. I'm not 100% sure. That's Michelle's question. I'm not sure exactly 100% how they want to support, but I know that it's been a huge thing that they've been wanting to support in mentoring, but I'm not sure 100% what their role is. So I'll check with Michelle and see if she can get that back to you. Yeah.
Anybody else?
So my husband and I used to have mentor students at Lincoln High School.
Nice.
Now LSS is coordinating all of that, right?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's nice. It takes the administrative part of it away from them, and you set it all up.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah. I love that you mentioned that. So, yeah, a lot of the different schools back early 2000s were actually kind of doing their own thing. Some of them had mentorship programs. Some of them kind of loosely kind of had mentors coming in and out, but the way that LSS was kind of able to fill in that gap was to be able to add that additional piece of training, background checks, and then have a central place for everyone. So our current president, Rebecca Knutson-Kiesel, she actually was in mentoring at that time, and she helped develop those relationships so that LSS could build upon those programs and make it is what it is today. So we have about 1,100 matches through over all of our programs, so that's about 2,200 people. Yeah.
We do have a mentoring program here at the church for our youth. We are between youth directors, however.
Okay.
So I wanted you to know that we are already in the process here for teenagers, if anybody wonders.
No, that's wonderful. It's so needed, and I got to talk with Jean earlier. I'm saying your name right, Jean. I got to speak with Jean earlier and just kind of share that just even over the holidays, I'd emailed a lot of our families and just said, hey, how are you doing? Is there anything we can support with? And now in 2023, we're almost at the end of the month, and I'm still having parents and families email me and say, hey, we've got this going on. Hey, we're really struggling with this. Hey, thank you so much for your program, because my kiddo was really having a hard time because they lost their dad, or my kid was really having a hard time because they were being bullied at school or whatever. And so it's so needed, and we just have to continue to support our kids in whatever way that we can. So yeah, I'm grateful that you all are also doing that. Absolutely, I'll put the word out there.
I just wondered if there was anyone in the room that has done mentoring that would like to share. I don't know. Yeah, it'd be fun to hear what you.
Got a few people.
we both had a wonderful experience. Now, the boy that Tom was paired with, he lived with his mother. His parents were divorced, and his mother died when he was the mentor. And it was devastating, but the good news is somehow that kid kept Tom's name in his brain, and Tom said he just called the office because he's an adult now and he's buying a house or something that Tom was able to help him a little bit with. So I thought that was awesome. The girl I was paired with was a wonderful experience for me. She came from Eritrea and was kind of the spokesman for her family. She had to take her mother to doctor appointments and things. And one of the most fun things we did was with my friend and her kids, Latense was my matched friend. We went to Pierre to show them the legislature, and that was a wonderful day. And I feel bad because I've lost touch with her, and I would love to see what she's doing now. She moved to Seattle. She was, I think, working as a dental assistant.
Wow.
But just a wonderful young woman. We had so much fun together, getting to know each other. So, I mean, I would recommend that for anybody. It just really enriches your life to have those relationships.
How long were you paired with?
I think it was all through high school. I mean, it seems like it was long-term, multiple years. So you really did get to know each other. And I got to know her family a little bit. Yeah, it was really a good experience.
Thank you, Jean. Thank you.
Well, my experience was with the beginning of LSS moving to out of the city. And it goes back so far that I was paired with a boy. And it was great fun because he was such a little fellow. He was only in first grade. But he had come to Brandon, he had moved to Brandon from, and I can't tell you from where, but in his previous setting, he had had a mentor and expressed a desire for, in his new school for that to happen. So that's how we got hooked up, how he happened to be chosen as the first kid at Venice Elementary. And we were together until the middle of fifth grade, and but it was very limited at the time. We couldn't go off campus. I really had to be coerced to figure out where he lived because I wasn't supposed to have his address, and I never met his parents, his mom. He lived with his mom. And the dad was in and out of jail. The family was a mess. As a 6 or 7 year old, he was often in charge of the family, the little brother who sounded like he had some behavioral issues that related to meth, probably. But he's just up and moved to Mitchell, and I was never given an address or any way to keep track of him. I would love to know how he's doing now. So anyway, when he moved away, then I was assigned to a little girl in Brandon, and then we moved to Sioux Falls. So, but that was still easy. Venice is just the other direction, and it worked fine. And so I had a little girl there. And then I had 2 girls, and the kids moved, so then they're gone. And then I had 2 little girls at Annie Sullivan. And my last child was all set to go to Whittier to middle school. She was so excited about and nervous about going to middle school, and the middle of 6th grade or whatever, 5th grade, I suppose. middle school's what, 6, 7, 8? Yeah, middle of 5th grade, COVID came along and I never connected. I have written to her through the school, but until very recently, we were not circulating in groups, and so my husband didn't think it was wise for me to go back to middle school. Yeah. So she'll be finishing soon. I hope before the end of the year to at least, wish her the best as she moves on. So, kind of a long story.
Thank you for sharing that. No, it's hard. It's hard when you have someone that you connect with and then they up and move. That's happened. That's actually just happened with one of our matches, and there were two of our medical students who were mentoring, and their kids just up and moves, but the family was having just kind of a challenging time here in Sioux Falls, so they needed to move to a place where they got more support. But I think the large part in that whole situation is that those kids had, even just for a few months, someone that was really there for them, someone that was consistent with them, and their mom just really, really enjoyed the program, and so she was able to say, our kids remember that, our kids appreciated that, our kids will remember their mentors. So I'm sure that's the same for your mentee, even though you didn't get that closure of being able to say goodbye, but at the same time, what you did get to do for that kid, they're going to remember that forever. So thank you for that.
And I just want to comment that most of us have been mentors in our family. Families are different today, and so there's a lot of mentoring that go on. My experience with the youth here, I had two students. One was a member and one wasn't. And, when the program, is still functional, but without a leader, it's been more difficult. But I actually had the parent call me and say, would you please continue? Mm-hmm. So, it's really needed for our youth. We have 50 youth. And so, we have that program too. And it was very, very good. I mean, I had no trouble with the parents bringing them over. My husband was always present. We had no trouble, going out and getting, but what they loved was my letters. I would send a letter every month, and that's what they appreciated.
Yeah, thank you. No, that's awesome.
I assume that there's conflicts at times with mentors and mentees. Now, who jumps in and helps solve it?
I love your intentional questions. So yeah, sometimes there are. And so I actually had a mentor who emailed me a couple of weeks ago and said, hey, I'm just not sure what to do with my mentee right now. I kind of feel like she's a little bit withdrawn. I feel like I've tried to kind of see what's going on, but, I kind of get short answers. She'd actually been mentoring this kiddo for a couple of years, but the kiddo's moving into middle school, so things are changing a little bit. And so she's like, oh my gosh, it's a whole new age group, so I got to relearn. And so I actually sent the mentor, I gave her a couple of suggestions. To answer your question, I would be the one to jump in and kind of mitigate that situation. But I'd asked her a few questions. I just asked her how often she was meeting. Well, she said, well, I've kind of been off a little bit. I haven't been able to be as consistent just because of work, and I've been a little bit busy. But I try to text her when I can. So I said, well, consistency is key. And so for a middle schooler, it's so easy for them to go down a rabbit hole. So it's like, okay, they didn't text me this week, so they must hate me and they don't like me anymore, so I'm just not going to say anything. It's so easy for middle schoolers to do that, even high schoolers to do that. And so I said, well, try maybe texting her on a specific day, or letting her know when's the next time you're going to meet. So at the end of your time together, say if you meet Saturday, then you all together plan the next time that you're going to meet, so that she knows and so that she's a little bit more invested. I also sent her a list of things that they could do together that were appropriate for her age group. And then we discussed some other troubleshooting things, and I just let her know, hey, if there's anything else, just let me know. And then again, we do our monthly event. events, and so I encouraged her to bring her kiddo to our monthly events, and that way it doesn't have to be a huge thing. You have other mentors there, you have other mentees there that you all can hang out with, bounce ideas off of each other, and then go from there. So I really appreciate that question.
Thank you. Any other?
Yeah, you do for the TV. Yeah. It's live streamed.
Okay. My question relates to teachers have an obligation to report
Abuse, neglect.
if there's a problem.
Sure.
And my question is, what is the responsibility for a mentor?
Yes.
And what's the legal responsibility? Because teachers are legally obligated to make those referrals.
Absolutely. Are you a teacher?
I was.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you. My mom is a teacher, and so it's not the easiest job, but it's a very rewarding job. To answer your question, so yes, teachers and a lot of medical staff are mandated reporters. For the mentor, the way that we train our mentors is that if there is concern of abuse or neglect, to let us know first, and then if we do need to make a report, sometimes it might require one of our coordinators, like myself, or maybe Michelle, our director, to make that report with the mentor if they're, depending on the situation. It might just simply be, it may not be something that we have to report to DPS. It could just be, hey, they need some basic needs, and maybe we'll get them that support if that's within our wheelhouse to do. For example, I actually had a kiddo, a mentor who let me know, hey, I have a kid who their hygiene has been really off, their attitude has been a little bit different, and it wasn't something that was really normal for them. And so because the mentor had a relationship with the kid and with the guardian, she didn't want to put them in a challenging situation, but she did let me know. And so what I was able to do is actually reach out to the student's school counselor, because the school counselor actually had a relationship with the kiddo, and say, hey, can you look out for this kiddo? The mentor had some concerns, and so the counselor was able to actually get that student some basic needs and some resources. It was just simply that they needed little things like a toothbrush and soap and things like that, so that they could be kind of taught and trained to make sure that they continue their hygiene over every day and throughout the week. And so, yes, so as far as mandated reporting, we would typically do that. However, if it is an emergency situation, so if it's on a weekend and you have to call 911, then we'll go over during our training what that would look like and what that would mean. But typically, you'd let us know, and then if we need to, we'll make that report, or we'll make that report with the mentor. Great question.
I had a question. You obviously have some kind of counseling in your background. What is your background for this position?
Yeah, as far as me specifically, or what do you need to be a coordinator? Sure. So to be a coordinator, they do require a bachelor's degree. However, for me specifically, I majored in English with emphasis in creative writing, got a minor in theater for fun, and then I got a certificate in multicultural studies. Currently, though, I'm actually just started my master's in social work, so I'll go on to get my clinical license. But that's not required, but you are required to have experience, an equivalent amount of experience to be in the role. Yes. Hey, I would love that. I would love that. Yeah.
Do you have any programs on helping with English as a second language?
Yeah, actually, so again, going back to our Center for New Americans, they actually have lots of ESL classes for our refugees. LSS does bring in a lot of refugees. We recently got quite a few from the Ukraine, and we have a lot from different countries in Africa. We have lots in different countries in the Middle East, and so on and so forth. So they do a really good job in supporting our refugees and immigrant families. So.
In that?
Can you say that one more time? Sorry.
Do you need volunteers?
Always. We always need volunteers. Do you speak a few different languages, or do you do ESL? No? Okay. But yes, always need more volunteers. We have so many families that we support. LSS has I think, 19 different programs. And so it's ranging from mentoring to our REACH program. We have behavioral health. We have counseling services. Like I said, Center for New Americans. So we serve the entire state, and we could use as much support as possible. So yes, always volunteers. Anyone else? Sure. Thank you all for having me. I really appreciate your time.
it's really
And
been
yes,
good.
I will leave these here. Like I said, our website is on the back of our pamphlets here, and then it kind of goes into all of the different programs. If you're trying to remember which programs that you might be interested in, we do have them in here. And so, yes, we hope to see you all. And if you know someone that wants a mentor as well, please refer them to us. We have some really amazing families. They just need that extra something, that extra bit of love, and I'm sure that y'all can provide that. So thank you so much.
Thank you. You'll all want to come back next week because Michelle Erpenbach from Thrive is going to be here, and she also addresses some of the needs of children. And I have heard her in an OLLI class, and it's just excellent. So please come back next week so you can hear Michelle talk about Thrive.